and I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us right here on The Right View. What a stellar guest we have tonight. I don't even think he actually needs an introduction. We're going to introduce him in a second anyway, but before we do, I'd love to tell you about one of our sponsors, Balance of Nature. If you know anything about me, you know that I take my health very seriously. In fact, with each year that passes, the goal of staying in my healthiest and best shape takes on more and more importance for me in my life. Feeling good is something that I don't take for granted. It has become an essential goal for me every single day. And that means there are very specific things that I need to do to make sure I'm feeling my absolute best. One of those things is always remembering to take Balance of Nature supplements. Want to know how I chose Balance of Nature? With so many products out there, it's almost impossible to know that you've made the right choice. But with Balance of Nature, I know everything I take is made from whole food ingredients. If getting serious about your health is something you've been wanting to commit to, I highly recommend you check out Balance of Nature. You can order them directly at www.balanceofnature.com and use promo code LARA, that's LARA, to get 35% off of your order. You know him, you've seen him playing baseball, you've seen him as a 2 World Series champion, legendary Johnny Damon. Johnny, welcome to the show. Thank you so much. I got to start off with probably the most important question of the interview. Honestly, though, tell us, how tough was it having to give up your long hair and beard when you signed with the Yankees? Was that maybe a decision you questioned in the moment?
Well, Laura, thank you for having me. Cutting my hair and shaving my beard was not a big deal to me because when I joined the Red Sox, I actually had short hair and not much facial hair at times. But I believe the toughest thing was leaving the Red Sox. I mean, I was a fan favorite there. I loved it. And I just got a new house. So that was a lot tougher than cutting off these locks of mine.
Well, it seems like that you had no problem growing it all back. I know that's sort of like a signature for you. How was that transition? I mean, I can only imagine that once you kind of you have an identity with a team, right? It really feels like you're home to a certain extent. To really change, and I mean that's the name of the game in professional sports. You know, you do have to kind of go where they need you and where they're going to pay you and where you get traded or whatever it might be. How is that? Because, for me, I'm such a college sports fan, Johnny, because I think there's so much heart in it. And when you have your team, you have your team. But professional sports are a little different in that respect. Was that challenging for you?
Yeah, I believe it was the toughest thing for me as well because I gave my heart and soul to the Red Sox, and the fans know it. The players, everybody knows that I brought my A game every single time. But unfortunately, it's a business. They have a young stud coming up named Jacoby Ellsbury, who's going to be taking my job. And I really wanted baseball to stay important. And East Coast baseball, there's nothing quite like it. I loved Boston, and putting the pinstripes on was very special. And plus, when you have a 4-year, $52 million contract on the table and you have nothing from the Red Sox on the table, I think I made the right choice. And at the very end, both teams ended up winning out. Jacoby Ellsbury had a great career with the Red Sox, and I went on and had a blast putting the pinstripes on.
Well, there are people who dream their whole life of doing one of those two things and never will be able to do either one of them. So, I mean, you had a storied career, obviously, and you've become just a world-known name. I think people know you, and maybe even people who aren't super into sports know your name, and you're a legend, Johnny. I mean, you know that. When I had kids, I said very early on, I'm going to put them in everything possible. Eric and I have them in all different sports. They do jujitsu, they do soccer. I think it's about time, Johnny. My son is 6. Is this the right time to introduce them to? I assume you start off with T-ball. You've got quite a slew of kids. You have 8 kids, Johnny. Tell me what I need to know in order to get the trajectory right for my kids to potentially become professional athletes. I assume you started early when you were a kid.
Yes, I did, Laura. I started playing T-ball when I was 6 years old, and I
Oh,
also started
good.
playing soccer when I was 6.
Oh,
As for my kids, because we have so many, we have 8, and I want them to really love something. And they go to a great school, so they give them a lot of opportunities to see if they want to dance. One of my daughters started playing soccer this year. My son, I'm really pushing towards soccer and or baseball. I mean, as you can see, those contracts are very hefty now, and it's a lot safer than football. I mean, those guys, congratulations to the 49ers and the Chiefs. I mean, those guys are absolute warriors out there. There's a reason why I quit football, because I don't think I would have been tough enough. I mean, I've taken hits in baseball, but man, those guys are absolute warriors, and
yeah.
it's gonna be a great Super Bowl. But I'm pushing soccer and baseball for my son and my daughters. Softball and soccer and dance and singing and all that good stuff. But it's been a fun ride. We don't want to ruin our weekends yet, so until they're fully committed, because I know it's an everyday thing, and
Yeah.
we just want to make sure that we're ready and the kids are committed to uh, bringing their A game every time
Yeah.
they take the field.
No, whatever it is. I mean, I kind of agree with you. I think we want to find whatever, like, the niches that our kids kind of fit into, and whatever it is that they want to do. I obviously, sports are a big deal for me, but if they want to do something musically or art related or whatever, I just want my kids to get invested in something, because Johnny, I feel like these days, you know, it's one thing I know when I grew up that made sure that I was always on the straight and narrow. My brother was always on the straight and narrow. We were always focused on whatever it was we were training for that season. So we didn't have time to get into trouble. I feel like there's so much going on these days, especially for kids. It really is something that I want to focus on to ensure that my kids are fully committed to doing whatever it is that they're interested in doing. I mean, you've got your hands full. I only have 2 to deal with, but you've got plenty there. I love that you're saying you're going to allow them to do the things that interest them as well. I think it's super smart to do. What position were you in football? I didn't know you played football prior to all of this.
Well, I was a running back when I
Oh,
played JV, and then when I moved up, I became a free safety, and all the coaches said you can go a long ways, and I wanted to catch touchdowns for the girls, for the cheers, for all that stuff. But
obviously.
the coaches said I could go a long ways, and I'm like, I'm going to play baseball, and all it took was a couple big hits up the middle. I mean, Warren Sapp was a All-American tight end, and he kind of rang my bell a few times, and so I knew football wasn't my sport. But yeah, I'm getting back to your topic about the kids. Um, yeah, the iPads and everything keeps them bogged down. You know, a great thing with my son, I taught him how to fish, and he's enjoying it. I take him fishing all the time, but we took the iPhone and the iPads away from my 11-year-old twins, and they're going around the house kicking a soccer ball. They're on the razors. They're outside. They're on the tennis court. So I'm all for kids going outside and doing their thing. And but our parents back in the day didn't have to worry about us getting in trouble, because we knew parents were allowed to spank us back then, and we knew
Right.
not to get in trouble. So and that was a good way we could play sports. We had to stay out of trouble. We had to get good grades, and we had to be a model American to have that opportunity and to get people on your side to root for you. So yeah, getting the kids involved and outside and having fun is definitely the way to go. And I met your kids, and I know they are doing very well. And I know you and Eric have the right plan for them.
I mean, we're trying. God knows we're all trying. You're right, though. I limit these kids to very minimal screen time. I mean, my kids get 15 minutes a day if they have a great day. And sometimes it's like we're almost to bedtime and they're like, we didn't get 15 minutes on the iPad. I'm like, great. It's time to get in the bath and it's time for bed. We're done with that. It's actually kind of frightening because as you're saying, back in the day, things were very different. I remember my dad used to come home, Johnny, and he'd be like, what are you guys doing in the house? He'd be like, get outside. I don't care what you do. Just get outside. That was the greatest thing ever. And I feel like there is such a lack of that these days. It's so easy to just hand a kid an iPad or a phone. It does take extra effort to say, like, I don't care what your friends are doing. This is what you're going to do. And what a great example your kids have from you and Michelle. I feel like having parents that they look up to and they say, oh, well, this is what I've seen mom and dad do. Obviously, to have a dad like Johnny Damon, your kids can go back and they can see the things that you accomplished. How did it feel playing on the team that won Boston its first ever World Series and breaking the curse, as well as playing on the last Yankees team to win a World Series? I mean, that's a very unique accomplishment, Johnny.
It is a great accomplishment. I could not do it without my teammates, my fans, and everybody involved. I mean, we caught a groove in 2004 and went on to win 8 straight games and erasing a curse of 86 years. And then going to New York, I'm glad we won because now I can say switching teams was absolutely worth it, because if I did not get a championship with the Yankees, I would be miserable for the rest of my life. So a lot of my friends tease and say the Yankees might have the curse of Johnny Damon. I know they got rid of two big cogs in the lineup after we won the championship. Matsui, who won the MVP of the World Series, he takes off. They don't re-sign me, and all of a sudden they haven't won, and we are going on 15 years right now. So hopefully they can put something together. They have a great team. I like their team. They're a bunch of great guys, and hopefully they can get back to the playoffs. I mean, getting to the playoffs is a very tough thing to begin with, and then winning a World Series, I wish I could say those are easy. We can look back and see the hurrah videos to say, yeah, it was a easy time winning a World Series, but no, it's hard work. And I know when we lost playoff games and got eliminated, I mean, I was hurt. I mean, it's tearful. You work the entire year, and then all of a sudden, everything you put your hard work into is gone. I mean, think about the teams who aren't going to the Super Bowl. All those teams are good enough. It goes down to one play here, one play there, and so I'm excited about the Super Bowl. But
I'm excited about the Super Bowl too. I mean, I'm a sports fan all around, but I think what's been interesting to me is you always look at, you watch TV and you watch these great athletes, and gosh, whether you're watching the World Series, whether you're watching the Super Bowl, I feel like they all make it look so easy. But look, you were talking earlier about the beating that your body does take, and look, let's face it, football especially.
The mental side too. Yeah.
Yeah, the mental side. Well, here's what I want to ask you. I just recently watched, and I held off on it, Johnny. I held off on watching Kelsey for a while, and I'm probably scarred because we've had Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce shoved down our throats every week of football season. My God, enough is enough. And now we got to go through a Super Bowl with them. But that said, somebody said you have to watch the Netflix or Amazon Prime or wherever it is movie or docu thing on Jason Kelce, who's Travis Kelce's brother, right?
Yes.
He's a center for the Eagles, and he's such a beloved figure in Philadelphia. Everyone said you should watch this. Now, I held off, but I did recently watch it. And the thing that he struggled with, and I want to ask you about this, was it was very challenging for him to come to a point where he said, hey, it's time for me to hang it up. It's time for me to retire, because this is what he did his whole life. As you're saying, you work your entire life. Obviously, you work a whole season, but you've literally worked your entire life to get to a level where you could go to the Super Bowl, where you could go to the World Series. How was that for you to come to the realization like, hey, I'm kind of getting to the end of my career? Were you worried about what was going to happen on the other side of that? Because I imagine that's a struggle that a lot of professional athletes have.
Yeah, I really wasn't concerned about what happens afterwards. I really wanted to keep on playing, but with the sabermetrics and the Moneyball tactics that everybody uses now, they start looking at your age. They start saying that your best days are behind you. And the Kelsey brothers are absolutely amazing. I met Travis over in Tahoe for this golf tournament years ago, and just a fun guy to hang out with. And I'm pulling for the Chiefs. I mean, I love a lot of the players on the 49ers, but I spent 9 years with the Kansas City Royals, 3 years in the minors and 6 years in the big leagues. But what an incredible story. I mean, they got a lot of football fans this year, and it's because of Taylor Swift and Jason Kelsey's in every commercial. And you're going, that's one thing I wish we had back then. We didn't market ourselves great back in the day because it was almost frowned upon, because your main job was to be a good baseball player. It wasn't running around doing commercials at all times. And plus, we don't have a lot of time during the course of a season. We pretty much play every single day. We might get a Monday off. We might get a Thursday off. But if you think about it, 162 games in 180 days. A lot of those are travel. You go to spring training, there's 30 games in spring training. And then if you make it all the way to the World Series, you're playing in about 210 games a season in 235 days, 240 days. So yeah, it's tough. It's grueling. You turn into a robot pretty much. And when you're out of it, you look back and say, I don't know how I could have actually did that on an everyday basis, because it is hard.
It is. All right. I want to get right back to that. I'm going to ask you something else about that. Nobody move. We're going to take a quick commercial break. All right. Hate to interrupt the show, but our country is facing so many problems these days under Joe Biden. The last thing any of us needs is more to worry about. Unfortunately, we now have to fear losing our freedom and privacy with the Democrats' new push for a digital dollar that could allow the government to tell us what we can and cannot buy with our hard-earned money. That's why I'm encouraging every one of you tuning into the show right now to get The Secret War on Cash, an insightful report created by my friends at Swiss America. With this report, you're going to learn how to protect yourself from the threats facing our freedom and your hard-earned money. The report is available right now to my listeners free of charge. Just go to www.swissamerica.com/Trump to register immediately. All right, Johnny, look, what you're saying is very interesting. And I think you're right. I think that there are a lot of people who probably look at a professional athlete and they say, how do you have time for all of this? But it's interesting you say that had you tried to kind of market yourself in the way that a lot of these folks do now, like Travis Kelce, for example, it may have been frowned upon when you were, in the height of your career. I assume that's because people would say, well, hey, this guy is not taking the actual game seriously enough. He's more concerned with his own personal image. Do you feel like it was more team oriented back, in the days whenever you were kind of at the height of things? Or why do you think it would have been frowned upon necessarily?
Well, because if you have a bad game, they're going to blame it on you waking up early and going to do a photo shoot somewhere.
Right.
And baseball is a failure sport. If you fail 7 out of 10 times, you have a great chance to go to the Hall of Fame. And if you fail in anything else in life, you're broke, you're homeless.
Yeah.
So we never had the chance to pat ourselves on the back. But I know there's a lot of guys now, after every hit they have, they're celebrating. And I was always taught to act like you've been there before. So even when I'm hitting that grand slam against the Yankees, Game 7, I'm running around the bases, not with a smile in my hand, not with a rah-rah, because I know the game's not over yet. I know what
Right.
happened in 2003 when they came back and beat us, and then they went on to the World Series. And so, um, no, I'm not a pat you on the back kind of guy. I'm like, let's keep on going. Let's keep on moving in the right direction because until the last out of the season and you're hoisting a World Series trophy, that's the only time you really get to celebrate.
Yeah, yeah. You haven't won until you've actually won. I want to ask you the historic Red Sox World Series. During that time, the team started taking a ritual shot of whiskey starting in Game 6 of the American League Championship all the way through the World Series. Are there any
Game four.
What's
No,
that? Oh, okay, Game 4.
yeah.
Are there
Yeah,
any
Game 4.
rituals for the 2009 Yankees World Series that we don't know about, like that? Because stuff like this, we need to know, Johnny.
Well, Kevin Millar almost got Tito Francona fired when he went on a radio show and talked about doing shots of Jack Daniels. So for the Yankees, I just think we were very loose. We had one of the best offenses in the history of the game. Our kryptonite was Cliff Lee. Cliff Lee beat us on opening day at Yankee Stadium when he was with the Indians, and he gets traded to Philly. He wins both of those games, and if we didn't win, I mean, we would have had to face him again in Game 7, and he was definitely our kryptonite. But yeah, it was a family atmosphere. You know, when Joe Girardi became our head coach, are they called managers or head coaches? Man, I'm conflicted.
I guess
with different,
it's a manager, Johnny. No one knows better than you.
Man, I've been watching
Call
too
him
many
whatever
different
you
sports. Oh boy, yeah, too many concussions. But Joe Girardi brought a great feeling to the Yankees. He made it more family oriented, letting your kids hang out in the clubhouse. Like winning and losing a game should not dictate how you treat your kids. So we had a lot of kids running around the clubhouse. I had that in Boston, and I was very happy. But think about it: when you're a player and you see someone's Rugrats running around the clubhouse, and one day he ends up being the best quarterback ever, you know, Pat Mahomes. We saw him running around the field. And yeah, so think about how cool that is. And also you got Matty Guerrero, you got the Bigios, you got Bichette, you know, a whole bunch of kids who got to grow up in a major league clubhouse, and they got to see what the best players in the world do. And that's what we had in Boston and what Joe Girardi helped bring back to the Yankees.
That's very cool. God, it makes you feel so old, I'm sure. I mean, none of us
I just turned the big 50.
None of us are getting any younger, Johnny. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I just turned 50. My oldest are 24 now. So, yeah, we're not getting any younger.
Well,
and that's why I play soccer.
But you know what? Sunday. You're still killing it. You're still doing awesome stuff. And you have a new beverage company, A Game. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, A Game, everyone has to bring their A game every second of the day. I mean, playing sports, doing being a parent, being a teacher, you always have to bring your A game, and it's a very clean drink. It's a hydration drink, no artificial flavors, coloring. We get our sugars from natural honey. We get hydration from sea salt, and the blue top is a regular. We came out with a zero white tops, and I brought on Bo Jackson to the team. We also have Tyler Adams, who's hopefully making his return to Bournemouth of the Premier League soon, and we have Matt Masvidal is with us now, so we're very excited about the path we're going to take. And it's 20 years that we, won this for the Red Sox. So I'm going to be up in the Northeast pushing the drink quite a bit, and you always have to bring your A game. So I plan on continuing to do that, and I hope people give it a try because it is really good tasting. A lot of drinks out there just don't compare to it.
I love it. Where can people find it? Is it like in stores, or can they get it online?
Yeah, you can get it online through Shopify, but if you're in the Northeast, you can go to Shaw's, Stop and Shop, Giant Eagle. There's a Food Lion and Winn-Dixie we should be in real soon. Costco. We're also out in Arizona. So the Northeast and Arizona right now, and we just signed a big deal with Polar out of Worcester, Mass, and they're going to help
Wow.
us take this to a different level. And we're very excited about the progress that we've made in the past 6 months, because this is a tough business to get into, and we're getting ready to bring our A game.
I love it. That's great. Good for you. Fantastic.
Thank you.
You're not just hanging out and dealing with 8 kids, Johnny. It would be enough to deal with 1 kid. You're also doing sports beverages and stuff. Speaking of your kids, I know you said that they're kind of all finding their path. Should we expect to see any of them appearing in the big leagues or professional sports in the future? Is there one, maybe a couple of them, heck, with 8 that you feel like could have what it takes to make it?
Well, we do have our boy Dash, who came after a vasectomy, so the second one has worked. But his name is Dash Johnny Damon, and he's the reason why I grew my hair longer again, because he's got beautiful locks. He's ripped. We call him Baby Tarzan, and he's super fast. So it goes with the Dash name, and he can be something special. He's got to commit. He's got a little temper, you know. When that iPad doesn't work with him, he smashed a couple over his head so far. So we could have a wrestler in the house.
Yeah, I was gonna say, call the WWE.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's got that little temper, but I want him to take that temper out on hitting a baseball. So
all right,
we'll see what happens.
Well, I like that you said you started T-ball at 6. So I feel like this is a good year for my son. I'm trying to find like extra time. I feel like I got these kids and so much stuff, Johnny, but it's good. We want them occupied. We want them always outside doing it all. It's why we both live in the state of Florida, being outdoors and doing all the sports and stuff. That's what it's all about. I absolutely love it. So stay tuned. I mean, nothing that people would love more in this country than to see, of course, Donald Trump as president of the United States, and then maybe a Trump as a professional athlete. I'm not done yet, Johnny. I'm 41. Maybe it'll be me. We never know.
Well, shoot, you have my vote. I mean, Donald Trump was such a great president. He did everything that he said he was going to do, and I'm not even sure who's running the country right now or even working. I mean, everyone who's got a title has failed, and
Right.
you know, under President Trump, if you failed, you were fired. So he made sure that people continue to work and do their job, and we can talk about this all day.
We could talk about. Did you meet my father-in-law back in the day when you were playing for the Yankees?
Yeah, so I've known him for about 19 years now, and
Wow.
it's so funny whenever I put on Instagram "Happy Birthday," all the hate, and I'm like, he's my friend. Should I not tell my friend happy birthday?
Yeah.
And then I'll say happy birthday to Big Papi or Derek Jeter, and everyone's like happy, and it's all good. But you know, I don't get it. You know, the guy, he can't lie. He talks too much. It's amazing. So
Well, what I was going to ask you, I feel like having known him as long as you have, you probably realize, and you can probably speak to the fact, as I can, I've known my father-in-law for 15 years. He's the same guy that he was back then. And back then, Johnny, everybody loved him, right?
Yes.
He's the exact same guy. The problem is he got involved in an industry where they don't like people who are honest and tell you what you need to hear sometimes. He doesn't sugarcoat anything, but he's always been the same way. Do you remember the first time you met him? Do you remember anything about that?
Yeah, it was at Yankee Stadium. And then there's a couple
He used
times,
to go there a lot.
Well, yeah, that was a very brief meeting.
Okay.
But I went down to play in a golf tournament. Michelle and I were heading to Maricopa in Mexico for Valentine's Day right before the season started. And I get on the phone with Larry Glick. He puts Mr. Trump on the phone. We we chat, and he wanted me to come down and play golf. And I was going to be teamed with Derek Lowe, representing Boston, and he was going to be teamed with David Wright, representing New York. And that's how much he loves New York. He, yeah, he loves New York. And so we got to talking, and we went down we skipped Maricopa, went down to
Wow.
Mar-a-Lago, and just had a fantastic time. And your father-in-law couldn't be more gracious and so nice and so funny. And I love it when he gets up and talks. I mean, it's people don't want to hear the truth, and he's always going to speak the truth.
I'll always tell you, sometimes it's like the tough love, and it's the things that you don't want to hear, Johnny, but sometimes you need to hear them. It's almost like how like a tough dad deals with people, right? It's a bit of the same thing. Well, I love that you've known him for so long, and thank you for saying that, and thank you for being his friend throughout all of it, because there are a lot of people who I think pressure anyone with a name and anyone with some notoriety to say really horrible things about him, or say, oh no, I'm not going to be friends with him anymore. You've been a loyal friend to him for a long time, and I do want to say thank you for that. It means a lot, of course, to him, but to our entire family. And you've been a friend of mine and Eric's, you and Michelle, for a long time as well. You guys are great people, and we need. I was gonna say we need more Damons, but you guys got 8 of them. Eric's gonna pressure me to have another baby after I tell him I talked to you today.
Yeah, I mean, our we need him back in the office. Our democracy is in trouble, and he's the only guy who can get it back to normal. There's going to be a lot of people mad and angry and upset and crying, but when somehow Joe Biden got into office, we went back to work. We kept our heads up, and we continued to fight and fight the good fight. I mean, we want freedom. We want safety. We want no wars in the world. We want and we want people to be able to talk and speak the truth. I mean, when something happens, they come out and talk about it days later, and now there's another story that pops up. So they just keep on rolling out stories. So hopefully we forget about what's happening. But our armed forces are being attacked over in the Middle East, and little do we know about it. Little is it reported, and unfortunately we lost a couple of service men and women, and a bunch of them are hurt, and that's a very unfortunate thing. And I mean, what Joe Biden could have at least done was ask what Trump thought about something, because Trump was right all the time.
He really was, whether they like to admit it or not. I think not only is our country depending on him coming back to the White House, but the entire world at this point is depending on it. Johnny, before we let you go, 18 years in the MLB, almost 2 decades. That is quite a storied career. Is there anything you didn't get to do during your MLB career that you wish you had?
Well, I definitely wanted to play. Hey, puppy,
what do we got? Is that a dog? Who do we have? This is a very dog-friendly show, Johnny.
This one does not want to get picked up because I have a bunch of Pomskys, or I have a mom Pomsky, a daughter of hers Pomsky, and Michelle wanted another Pomsky so they can put on tuxes and a dress. So
oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
So we can have a wedding. So this is the kind of stuff I have to deal with. But
this is what you're doing these days. I love it.
Yeah, so FedEx just dropped off a package. So all right, I'm sure it's not for me.
That was the alert.
Yeah, so a few things that I wanted to do. I wanted to keep on playing because there were a lot of milestones that I really could hit, whether it was 600 doubles, 3,000 hits, and climb up the run scored list, win another championship. But what I really wanted to do was probably defer some money. You see, Ohtani deferred most of his contract, and Bobby Bonilla is the one that we talk about every July 1st. Every July 1st, he gets $1.2 million from the Mets, and he also gets $500,000 from the Orioles. Like, deferring money is the way to go, because we can make a lot of money all at once. But Bobby Bonilla, I mean, what a great contract, what a great negotiator. And Bobby Bonilla is an absolute beast. Every time he walked into the room, you knew he was a tough, awesome guy. But I'm happy about his contract that's still paying him through 2035, and he's been retired since like 2005. Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah,
What a move.
it's a great move. So maybe deferred a little bit, so I'm not always on the run. Still, you know, getting after it, but it's fun. As we talked about, A Game is a really great drink, and we're going to continue to push it. And this is going to be a big year for us.
I love it. Well, Johnny Damon, you're a legend. You're a great American, and we appreciate you so much. Thanks for, again, being such a good friend to all of us in the Trump family. You and Michelle both. All the best to both of you, to the family, to all the Pomskis around there. Let us know when we can tune in for the wedding of all of them. Apparently, we're going to do some outfits. I love the idea of that. But you're the greatest. Thanks for everything. Thanks for joining us here today. And to everybody at home, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and follow. We'll see you back here next time for more of The Right View.
And I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out.
Nothing is worse than being on a phone call that drops. Nothing is worse than trying to text someone and you can't reach them because your phone is out of service range. And nothing is worse than supporting these major corporations and companies who don't support us. That is why I love Patriot Mobile. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless network. They use every cell tower out there available to all networks so that they have the greatest 4G and 5G coverage nationwide, and they support the causes that are important to us as conservatives. If you go today to patriotmobile.com/Laura Trump and use the promo code Trump, you will get free activation today. Again, that is patriotmobile.com/Laura Trump. The promo code is Trump for free activation so that you can get a great cell plan and feel good about doing it. My name is Laura Trump, and I think Mike Lindell is a patriot. He is someone who loves this country, is willing to fight for this country. If you go to mypillow.com today and use promo code Trump, again, promo code Trump, you will not only save money, but you will help us continue this show and other shows like it and help us continue the fight for the future of America.